One of the greatest favors upon us by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that He gives us people who educate us and take us from one phase of our education to the next, and from one step in our development to the next. These are our teachers. These are our educators. These are the people who deserve the credit for our achievements, whether they are academic achievements or they are spiritual achievements or any type of achievement. There is someone who played a role in us obtaining that skill, learning that thing, or who showed us the right way to do it. Our tradition, the Islamic tradition, is very rich in the bond between students and their teachers. Our first teacher is Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we see how the Sahaba radiallahu anhum had attached themselves to him. And those who spent the most time with him got the most out of it. Those who accompanied him in his journeys and while he was there in Medina, those who saw his early days and who saw his work, who took part and assisted him in his work, those were the ones who benefited the most, and today they hold the highest status in this ummah. From the Sahaba, those who accompanied them the longest and really took from them, dedicated their lives to taking from them, they had the highest status after the Sahaba, and so the chain goes. All of the great people in this ummah, the great people of knowledge and achievement, are those who stayed very close to their educators and stayed very close to their teachers. And the relationship between student and teacher was never limited to just what happened in the classroom. Learning that subject, that period, spending it with them. It was never about that. It was more about connecting and bonding with this person and taking whatever one could from them. Imam Malik rahimahullah, who was raised by a single mom, his mother used to dress him in the clothing of scholars, dress him, in the libas that the ulama would wear at that time. She would tie a turban on his head and would send him into Masjid Nabwi and would say, go to your teacher Rabi'a. Rabi'at al-Ra'i was a great faqih of Medina. She said, go to Rabi'a and learn from his etiquettes, learn from his mannerisms before you learn from his knowledge. Go and learn how he acts. So students would mimic their teacher. They would practice speaking in the manner that this teacher spoke, dressing in the manner that the teacher dressed, and doing things in the way that the teacher did them. This is how they learned akhlaq. There was no separate education done for akhlaq. Education was very, very practical. Like when Ali radiallahu anhu went to Iraq and people wanted to learn wudu, he didn't give lectures and seminars on wudu. He said, okay, find a high place for me and bring me a jug of water. So they found an elevated place, said, gather everyone. Everyone congregated, and he took that jug of water and performed wudu in front of everyone. And then he simply said, this is how I saw Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam performing wudu. And through that short demonstration, which probably lasted just a few minutes, all of Iraq learned how to perform wudu properly. So like this, people took from their teachers through practical demonstration, and they stayed with them, they accompanied them. So we should also develop this kind of connection and relationship with our teachers, and this relationship will outlive our study days. Our study days in any particular school are limited, but the relationships with those teachers, they live on throughout our lives, and late into our lives, those relationships come back. Those teachers continue to be our guides, our mentors, our helpers. Today we have one such person amongst us. We are very, very fortunate to have with us a very senior sheikh and teacher of the Prophet ﷺ's masjid. And this is someone who has been teaching there for the last 53 years. Of all the teachers that are there, he is the oldest and most senior. No one has been there that long. from all the departments, from the departments of hadith and fiqh, and there's so many things that are taught there in the Prophet ﷺ's masjid, in Masjid Nabawi. But our Shaykh who was with us, he has been there the longest, and for the longest period, and he has seen so many things. And he also stayed with his teachers. He stayed with them. He became an accomplished qari in his country, and when he came to Masjid Nabawi, he did not need to study tajweed anymore, but he chose to, and he clung on to the Shaykh al-Qurra of that time, and he studied with him for another 9 years. This is after becoming an expert himself. He studied with him another 9 years. And like this, all of the shuyukh of that time, he benefited from them. And today, he stands as one of the most senior qaris in the whole world. And many of the imams, if any of you have been to the haram, to the haramain, or will go there, you'll be praying behind his students. The people that are leading the prayers there have studied, have learned how to recite the Quran and perfect their tajweed from him. So how lucky are we? And interestingly, the shaykh who is accompanying him is also a very senior person, and he memorized the Quran with him when he was 11 years old. He completed memorization when he was 11. And now he is 60. Now he has reached the age of 60. For the last 50 years he has been with the teacher, and 50 years later he has accompanied him to Australia. That's what I was talking about, how the relationship outlives and outlasts that little bit of educational period. So, inshallah, the Shaykh will be here, he'll be sitting with your teachers. He is the teacher of teachers, the educator of educators. So, I thought I would share this good news with you. He will be, inshallah, spending some time giving us some guidance and some direction of how we can improve our teaching experiences, and how we can improve our teaching practices, and how we can give you the best that can possibly be given to you. But the lesson here is that we should try to build this bond. I was fortunate enough to have this connection with him, so when I invited him, he happily accepted, and he made this sacrifice of coming all the way down here. I hope that tomorrow you will also have that connection and that relationship with your teachers, where long after you have graduated, they are still your guides and your mentors, and you're still taking from them, because what they have seen and experienced, we haven't even begun to see and begun to experience. They've seen all of that. They've seen the ups and downs of time, the ups and downs of life, and they are the best possible people to guide us when we need it the most. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa baraka ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi.